Welcome to Victoria Rumble Room. We're an island show that likes to duke it out on all sorts of issues, both locally on Vancouver Island, provincially in BC, across Canada, across the wide globe. I'm Robin Adair, and with me, as always, my pugilistic buddy, John Jurisic. And John, we've been watching these polls in BC go up and down, and we thought that was dramatic, but nothing has been as dramatic as just happened on the BC election front, as Kevin Falcon has said mea culpa and is walking off the political stage.
I make fun of these fists and the rumbling. Actually, really meant it's quite literal this time. There's been some fighting going on. Some folks have made up. This is a historic week, Robin. A major political party has stepped out of a major election race for the very first time. Kevin Falcon says he's been told over and over and over again that the right must unite. He obviously saw the writing on the wall. Come on, single digits, and has announced his party will support the BC Conservatives.
But what became apparent to me as I've crisscrossed the province and heard from literally tens of thousands of people is the number one major concern that they had. And that is, Kevin, if you guys don't do the right thing and be the adults in the room and help bring together that free enterprise, center-right, common sense coalition, you are going to help elect an NDP government. And all of you that know me know that there is nothing more important to me, my children and your children and grandchildren, that we not give the NDP one more day in power than they absolutely have to have. And that's why I made the decision that I made as leader of BC United to suspend our campaign. I will be withdrawing our candidate nominations, and in cooperation with John Rustad, we will work together to assemble the best possible team of MLAs and candidates that can serve the best interests of British Columbians.
John, I actually believe that Kevin Falcon is doing the honorable thing here and the realistic thing. We've seen the polls. We've seen polls from across the country. Some of the major pollsters have been paying attention to British Columbia. Not only was BC United riding around 10% support, the latest polls I saw show them winning not one single seat in British Columbia. Now, the two parties will actually sit down together and they'll go over who the candidates should be riding by riding to make sure they have the best candidates possible from the two parties. Really, it's a coalition. It's going to be a coalition party moving forward. And, it's really, truly history in the making. It's exciting. And here's what John Rustad had to say about it.
This has created a lot of disruption, and I really feel for that. Because I know, for example, we've got 83, 84 candidates now out there, and I know how they feel in terms of if we were in that same situation, and it's not easy. And this will be a process that we have committed to working between the BC United Party with the Conservative Party to make sure that we put the best field forward that we can to bring an end to the destructive policies of David Eby and David Eby's government.
Already, the BC Conservative message about finding a better way to deal with crime, public safety, lower taxes, new investment, those are hitting the mark. You can see this has the BC NDP kind of worried. They see their best chance of spoiling the Tories' party is to attack candidates who've expressed controversial views. Just listen to Victoria Beacon Hill incumbent Grace Lord.
Well, I sure struck a chord last week when I made a video about Conservative candidates and their leader, John Rustad. This week, a Conservative candidate has said that 5G is, quote, a weapon and was related to the spread of COVID. This is not serious stuff, except that it is extremely serious because this is a party that wants to form government, wants to be in charge of decisions around healthcare and education. And their leader, John Rustad, stood by this candidate and blamed people's outrage of these statements on cancel culture. I blame it on science, common sense, and the desire to have capable folks making good decisions for British Columbians. Again, elections matter.
Well, the gloves are off. We love to say that on the Rumble Room anyway, but the gloves are really off. And there's going to be a lot of tight races. And I did talk to a candidate who said, look, if it's even a 5% improvement for our chances for the BC Conservatives, that could be the tipping point. And you've got to believe the NDP is very worried right now. It's going to intensify. This is going to be a very, very tough and close election battle. And who would have thought that? Even 6 months ago, even 3 months ago, who would have thought it was going to be this close, John? So hold on to your seats and watch out. Nothing ever dull in BC politics.
Nothing is dull in BC politics, and that means nothing will be dull in the BC Rumble Room, Victoria Rumble Room. So excited to see this kind of political action happening in the dog days of summer. Wow, jaw dropping. That's all I can say. Catching my breath as we shift to another issue. We're shifting to another issue if it can possibly be done. That's also provincial in scope, namely a shortage of skilled workers and crime on our downtown streets. We've just heard that after 70 years, Gregg's Furniture and Upholstery will be closing its doors at the end of September. We hear from Gregg's owner, David Screech, that a number of factors led to the closure. One of them is a shortage of qualified upholstery workers. We've talked about this on the Rumble Room before. We're kind of familiar with this lack of skilled workers, but there's another factor. That is the crime and homelessness in the area around Gregg's is growing. And let's face it, in the retail business, location is very critical. Our hats are off to David Screech, the longtime mayor of View Royal, who has put a lot of work into our community and his business. Very sorry to hear this happen, David.
It's really not easy to run a business at the best of times. And congratulations to Gregg's for such a long run. 70 years is nothing to sneeze at, but a tough location to do his business. And the crime down there, the homelessness, the drug addiction, all of that, I'm sure was a major factor in this final decision. And we have other stories to tell about what's been going on in the business scene. It's fun to do business stories. Both you and I, John, we're former chairs of the chamber. We feel very close to the business community, and we like to give salutes where they are merited. And restaurants, well, that's a tough game. I think it's a very high percentage, like 80% of new restaurants don't make it past their first year. So it's really something when there's a restaurant that actually is able to overcome the odds, and they are able to keep their doors open through COVID and actually prevail and even do better in the wake of COVID. And now they are having a chance to have a party.
Pagliacci's, they've kept themselves afloat in the face of anti-Semitism. This is not just a great restaurant. This is a cultural institution for Victoria, for the island, for BC. Yes, the Siegel family owns Pagliacci's, and even though they've spoken out in support of a Palestinian homeland and peace in the Gaza, they're still facing loud and angry voices, Rob.
And unfair voices, in my opinion, John. We had pro-Palestinian protesters actually marching on the day that Pagliacci's was having their big celebration. They were a block away. Unfortunately, there was no confrontation, and they let the partiers party in front of the restaurant. They were shouting very loudly, "Pagliacci's, you can't hide. You're supporting genocide." And that's ridiculous. The Siegels have long supported a nation for the Palestinians. They have been abhorrent about the ongoing war in Hamas versus Israel, and they would like to see peace in the Middle East, as we all would. For them to be tarred and feathered in this way is, I believe, very unfair. And John, it's very important as we look at the Siegel family, we remember how important they've been to our business community, our arts community, our society.
And very, very openly supportive of peace and reconciliation in that troubled area, as you just explained. And this was clearly reflected in the support that Pagliacci's has received, as hundreds turned up to celebrate a special milestone, as you and I did. It was so fun. Oh my God, a real milestone in my lifetime. For 45 years, PAGS has been a landmark institution in Victoria. So you and I, as I just stated, we went down to take a closer look at the history of this family and eatery and join the party.
And the first thing we did is ask about those T-shirts. Have you come to Pagliacci's a lot over the years?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you're thrilled to get a shirt.
Yeah, and I love the restaurant, so
Love the restaurant, love the shirt.
love the shirt and love the music.
You gotta get here. Come on, get here. You gotta get here. Hip to the child.
Okay, Howie. So,
Robin.
45 years.
Yes.
45 years. So 46 years ago, what was going on? You went into the restaurant business. Had you had any background in that? Was that something you actually knew and understood, where you thought you were going to come here and build this great legacy for the community?
I knew how to eat, but that was about it. You know, my only qualification is that I wanted to eat, and that I couldn't afford to eat in a restaurant. So I met Alan DiFiore at CJVI. He got me that job and really brought me to Victoria. And DiFiore, who became the chief story editor of Da Vinci's Inquest, has a fabulous career, Geminis and all that stuff. And meeting Alan really was the key, because his Italian family had these magnificent recipes. His mother always wanted to open a restaurant. And so when I met Alan and his wife Bonnie, that all materialized. My brother came down from Los Angeles, and that was the nexus. That was the coalition that made the joint.
Hi guys. Hey Darren. How you doing? Hey, nice to see you. It's Andrea. Yeah. Hi Patrick.
Hi Joel. How you doing?
Hey, you guys look with Noel? And who's back there? Suki. Great. You know it's going to be good tonight. The best. Hi ladies. And Joe, there's the new guy.
Where'd the name come from?
Alan, it's an opera. It's about a clown. Pagliacci's means clowns in Italian. A clown whose heart is breaking because his wife is cheating on him. And yet he has to go out and make people laugh every night.
So really, you were able to occupy this role quite neatly, weren't you?
It was painful, but I made it through it. It's 1924. This restaurant was built in 1924. It was the Mayfair restaurant. And old Victorians remember the Mayfair. It was an institution here for years and years and years, until about 70s, mid-70s. Edna Brown, who used to own the Sugar Mule, she bought it and turned it into the Red Swing. And so we'll get a picture, we can take a picture of the mannequin on the Red Swing that graced this place.
Oh, wow.
For about 3 years.
With the cast from Raiders of the Lost Ark, they were all sitting in the back. There was about 20 people. And Dino and his girlfriend, who was the star of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Karen Allen.
Karen Allen. And it was an amazing night. They had so much fun, and everybody was pouring them drinks, and they were eating, and they were so happy here.
You want a true story?
Yeah.
Are you guys police officers?
No.
Okay. Just friends?
Yeah.
So one time Howard were working and there was a customer that was not behaving. And he was all tatted up, muscle shirt on, and he was a big guy. I was probably about 20 years old, and he was sitting in the center of the restaurant, and all he said to me, that's all he gave me is, Chris, just make eye contact with this guy. You gotta get him out of here. Just make eye contact. I didn't know what he was gonna do. He picked up a chair, the restaurant's full, there's a lineup. He picks up a chair, he comes up behind the guy, and he hits the guy as hard as he can over the back of his head. Knocks the guy right out, one shot. And then when the cops show up, they handcuff him, and then they basically take Howard aside and they say, we don't advocate for what you just did, but just so you know, there was a warrant for this guy for murder one. And the guy went and spent the rest of his life in jail.
Remember it anyway.
Okay, what have you got next up your on your prescription list here, Doctor?
The next on the prescription list is, of course, Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne's World.
Yes, Wayne's World suffers from Alzheimer's disease.
No.
This movie forgot that it had already been made.
Where did you first start your media conquest, where you worked in radio, you worked in cable, you worked at TV, and then...
Because I kept on getting fired! I couldn't keep a job! That's why I went from one to the other! It wasn't on purpose! And where did it all start? In the 6th grade, in the talent contest. I made up a character. Izzy Schwartz Sport Shorts. And I went on the stage in front of the Crescent Heights Grammar Elementary School on Crescent Heights Boulevard in Los Angeles and pretended I was Izzy Schwartz giving a sports review. That was the beginning. So I've always had a performance gene. It's a birth defect. Don't blame me. I'm not an egomaniac.
Well, no one would accuse you of that.
I'm not an egomaniac. I have a performance gene that demands I share my gifts with the world.
Hi, everybody. I'm Howie Siegel. I do the movie reviews on the regular newscast, but now I've got my very own Oscar special. I'm going to give my own awards and make fun of the movies and ridicule the actors. It seems superior to the people that I idolize.
Solomon!
Dad, it's called knocking.
Solomon! You're home from school and your room, it's so clean!
Hi, my name's Selena. I'm Solomon's new tutor.
Yeah, and I suppose that's an educational TV. Where's my remote control?
I don't need a remote. I've got Selena.
When I was a little boy, I used to go to LA to visit my grandmother, my booby. And, I'd be a teenager sitting and watching TV late at night. She'd get out of bed, she'd come into the living room and go, "Are you hungry? I can make you a sandwich, I can make you eggs, I can make you a bagel." She'd go through the list of things she could make me. I go, "I'm not hungry, I don't need anything." She would, "Okay, if you get hungry," then she would go through the list of things that were in the fridge, "Should I get hungry?" I go, "I'm fine, I just want to watch TV, I don't need anything." She'd go back to bed. In an hour, she'd get up, come out, and see if I wanted anything now. And it was easier just to ask her to make you a sandwich than because it wasn't going to stop. And it was this necessity of feeding people, and that is absolutely.
And you believe that
Jewish
comes
value.
through in your restaurant?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the core. That is like we put food on the table in front of people. That is, and we only charge people when they're happy and they love it, right? This is the core of what we do, and it's why I actually have a whole kind of philosophy around why feeding people in a human way, why connecting with people and bringing them something to eat and something to drink, and can really change lives more than just about anything on the planet, because it's connection. It's when you're making the food, and people don't even need to know how much effort goes into it, they can feel it. If you put in the effort to make sure, I spent hours blind tasting pastas, plain pasta, because I didn't like the pasta that we were serving when I took over the restaurant. Not one person complained about the pasta before, and not one person said to me, "Hey, it got better afterwards." But I knew it got better, and it meant that when I showed up, the feeling that I had made people feel that I cared about them and their experience. And that is really that's the product here. It's not really about food, it's not about drink, it's about the feelings we're giving to people. And it's absolutely a core Jewish value, and it's a way of expressing love for people and love for the world through food and drink and music. But really, it doesn't matter what it is. It's about that feeling.
Million reasons why Pagliacci's is the best restaurant around. Million. The music, the food, the service, the people.
Yeah.
Your father, and now you. But really at the top of the list is this bread.
Yeah.
This bread that is delivered as soon as you walk out.
Yeah.
Tell me some stories about this bread. Have you ever run out? Have you ever, have you ever had to make it? Have you ever had to, change the process or anything?
Oh, constantly. Everything about that, right? So, I would say, it's interesting that if you go, there was somebody put out a list of, the top 10 dishes you have to eat in Pagliacci, or not in Pagliacci, in Victoria when you visit. And I looked through the list and I went, you know what? Our bread made it, and ours was the only thing that was for free there.
The mail. Start cleaning. Action. I need a script.
My instinct isn't, ooh, I should ask the director if I could do that.
I love the nuance you've created, the ambiance, the feeling of being in New York or an American city. Has that been tempered with a Canadian wrapping at all? Has it mellowed over the years? And if it hasn't, how do you keep it going? Is it you?
No, John. It can't possibly be me. It can't possibly be one person. First of all, I can't cook a lick. So to me, it's the food is foundational.
And great staff.
Yes, and foundational food, service, and pricing. If you have any of those wrong, if you're overpriced and people feel they're being exploited, if you have bad food, they feel they're being, what is we doing this here? Why'd we come here? Why'd we wait in the lineup? And any of those things destroy the attitude, the amiability, the atmosphere. So when people think, gee, you created an atmosphere joint, it's really a byproduct. The happiness, what you hear, the feeling is happy customers. And they're happy because the food is good, it's well priced, and it's well served.
So how long after that picture was he killed?
A few hours. It's the last photograph ever taken of James Dean, ever. Wow. And I know because I bought it from the collector, and it's the first picture I ever collected on Santa Monica Boulevard, Perry's Photos, and that's why I bought that on purpose, and that's the first picture I ever bought.
All right, so Solomon, highlight people that you've seen in this place over the years. It doesn't have to be when you've just been the manager, but people that stand out in your mind as, wow, I can't believe such and such is actually sitting here in our restaurant.
Probably the person I had the most fun with was Sir Ian McKellen. It was just before the second Lord of the Rings came out, and he was in town shooting a movie, Emil, and he was in the restaurant, and me and my dad were having a fight over the chocolate torte. It wasn't selling. I wanted to take it off the menu because I love the cake. I'm like, I know you love it, but it's going stale, and I'm throwing it away because no one's ordering it. We'll run it as a feature. Like, I just don't want to I can't serve stale cake. So he sees Sir Ian McKellen there, brings out a piece of cake for him to decide. Ian tells my father it's great, and then looks to me and goes, you're right, take it off the menu. And then he loved the experience so much, he loved being here so much, that he showed up at our staff party. He was showing up after hours to go smoke pot with the kitchen guys, and they'd cook him meals.
Right on.
And then at one point,
so you were number one with Gandalf.
Number one with Gandalf. So and then the day before the second Lord of the Rings came out, I'm walking down the street and day off, and I hear someone go, Solomon, from behind me. I turn around, there's Ian McKellen. He holds up a bag and he goes, I just got soup from your restaurant. And I went, oh great, where are you off to? He's like, I've got a screening of the second Lord of the Rings. You want to go? And I went, all right. So then I walked over to the Vic Theater and I sat next to Gandalf and watched the second Lord of the Rings the day before the rest of the world saw it. So that was I like that story. That was a fun time.
So welcome to the 45th anniversary of Pagliacci's. Thank you all for making it possible. Victoria has made Pagliacci's. We don't advertise. This is it. We want to give back to our community, to all of you. So thank you so much for coming. And are we good?
A hand, please, for the Siegel family, if you will. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for Pagliacci.
This is Howie Siegel, once again, a media star, albeit it's on the Rumble Room, it's on the internet, but thousands of people will see it, and I can guarantee you we're all going to stay fully clothed, and at least you won't hear John and I swearing on this little segment. So that's good news, Howie, and I just want to congratulate you on 45 years. This is such a legacy for this community, and a lot of people have come and gone through PAGS over the years, including my own family, my wedding. Well, my wedding party came here to celebrate after we got married, and that was 40 years ago.
That sounds like so much fun.
So much fun.
The superstar restaurant of Canada, Pagliacci's.
Thank you for coming.
Well, what can you say? I mean, I think the world is a better place because of Pagliacci's and the Siegel family, and they are an institution in Victoria. So, mazel tov to the Siegels and all their friends, family, and supporters, and just a great event. And on that happy note, John, again, perhaps you could explain to our many viewers how they can regularly follow and support the Rumble Room.
This week, especially if you like the Rumble Room and you like Pagliacci's, you have got to join us and share our sites and like us and do all those things that allow people to see what we're doing and saying and showing. That's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it's on an audio podcast, it's also on Instagram, and it's on TikTok. We are on all of those platforms. And by the way, get comments on all of them as well. So, Robin, what a great show. What a fabulous show. What great things to talk about, with lots more to come. End of the summer is here. Exciting times. The Rumble is on plenty of platforms, and I hope that all of you continue to join us. I'm so pumped after that visit to Pagliacci's. It was great. You could see that I really enjoyed myself, especially the bread. I'll be thinking about that atmosphere for many, many days to come. For now, I remain your Croatian sensation, Johnny Juricic.
And you know, John, I have to say that one of the reasons I wanted to get involved in this Rumble Room, coming back to Victoria, I thought, what a great way to get reintegrated into my community. And this was just an excellent example of that, getting back with our friends from Pagliacci's. On that happy note, I'm Robin Adair, and rumble on.